I'm Claudia Catania, and you're listening to Playing on Air. You are about to hear Wildwood Park by Doug Wright, whose play I Am My Own Wife won both the Pulitzer Prize and the Tony Award for Best Play. Directed by Michael Wilson, Wildwood Park features Denis O'Hare of American Horror Story and Dallas Buyers Club, and Kristine Nielsen, Tony nominee for Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike. And now, Wildwood Park. We are in an affluent, suburban, picture postcard perfect neighborhood called Wildwood Park. It's a stark, sunny day. We see Miss Haviland, a realtor. She's middle-aged, a working mother. She wears an attractive quilted jacket, a navy skirt, and cloisonné jewelry. Her shoes are sensible for walking. Dr. Simeon, the prospective buyer, is of indeterminate age and wears an expensive suit. He is disarmingly handsome. Both Miss Haviland and Dr. Simeon wear dark sunglasses to shield their eyes from the offending light. They stand side by side in front of the house, gazing up at its exterior.
The neighborhood. It exceeds my expectations. The trees are symmetrical. The mailboxes have tiny flags. Along the alley, the trash cans all have matching lids.
It's well tended.
It's almost perfection, isn't it?
How did you hear about this listing?
The newspaper.
The real estate section?
Yes.
Well, that's not possible. Boulevard Realty, in the interest of discretion, in the interest of taste, opted not to publish this particular address. So when you called with your specific request...
The, front page, Miss Haviland. That is how I knew. I surmised the house would be for sale.
Did you?
And your firm, your size, your reputation... What other firm, I asked myself.
Well, what other firm in this area?
Surely I'm not alone. You must admit, public preoccupation with this house. I am not the first prospective buyer whose interest was initially piqued by reports of an altogether different nature.
No, you're not. You most certainly are not. Where have you been living?
Glen Ridge.
I'm not familiar with Glen Ridge.
No?
I've never even heard of Glen Ridge.
Beyond Ridge Falls? Near Beacon Ridge? Before Ridge Dale?
Suddenly you decided to move?
Yes.
More room? Better schools? A sound investment strategy?
It's time.
Why now?
I've weathered a change in status.
Marital? Professional?
Both.
Oh, I hope it works out. For the best.
I hope.
I'd like to point out some of the exterior features of the house, if I may. It's colonial, of course. The portico dates back to the Revolutionary War. Wildwood Park's own Monticello. Of course, the drainage system, the storm windows, the pool, the carport. That's all contemporary.
Conservative, isn't it?
Classic. Beyond faddish. A constant. Notice the weathercock.
Where? I don't quite see. I can't quite...
The rooster.
The glare.
It's a silhouette.
The sun's so white.
Left of the chimney.
Yes.
It wasn't bought. It was commissioned.
Impressive.
Oh, this house belongs on the dollar bill. What sort of work do you do?
Medical.
You're not a journalist.
Should I be?
I have to ask.
Yes?
You're not undercover, are you?
Under what?
Well, you're not wearing a wire.
Excuse me?
You're not an opportunist, are you?
I rather expected I'd be asking the questions this afternoon.
I've learned the hard way, Dr. Simeon. I can't be too careful. A few weeks ago, a man came, requesting to see the house. He brought a camcorder. He told me that his wife was back home in Terre Haute, and that he intended to mail the tape back to her before deciding. Well, You can imagine my surprise when a few days later I turned on the television, one of those alarmist news programs, and there it was, edited, with an ominous soundtrack.
He'd sold the tape?
So forgive me if I exert caution.
My sole interest, Miss Haviland, is in purchasing a home.
Thank goodness.
I am far more interested in a firm foundation, a basement which does not leak, a patio for summer parties, than I am in the unsavory.
Oh, count yourself among a rarefied few.
If you distrust my sincerity...
I didn't say that.
I am eager to relocate. I have an approved loan. My intentions could not be more serious.
I am relieved.
Would you care to see my correspondence with the bank? A copy of my current mortgage?
It's a please,
Proof positive. The listing for my own home in the town Tattler.
That isn't necessary.
Glen Ridge Charmer. Raised ranch, designed with family in mind. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, breakfast nook with skylight, basement rec room...
I apologize.
I would be less than honest
Yes?
if I didn't confess to an ulterior motive.
I suspected as much.
The reason I chose this house, this particular house, with its rather notorious history, I am a bargain hunter.
Oh. Well...
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume, by and large, your average buyer would have, well, trepidation, a fear that the house had somehow been besmirched, that it had absorbed its own history, and that it had somehow become a hard sell. But I am not a superstitious person. Karma, aura, these things mean nothing to me.
I have an unhappy surprise for you, Doctor.
No.
Oh, yes.
That's shocking.
Through the roof.
Is that the culture? The culture at large? Is that what we've become? You'll make me a cynical man, Miss Haviland.
Oh, 1120 Sycamore Avenue has made me a cynical woman.
And the property values in the neighborhood, they are...
But they're holding their own.
My.
Wildwood Park has not changed. It's the same enclave it always was. The traffic, of course, is heavier.
People ignore the blockades.
It's a constant battle.
License plates from Iowa, from California.
Well, the furor will die down. By the time you're ready to take occupancy, well, should you decide to pursue the house, the traffic will taper, I assure you.
No, naturally.
We still boast excellent schools. And I don't have to tell you, Doctor, that the shopping in our little town, it's world class. We have our own library, our own post office, our own women's auxiliary, and our own police force.
I couldn't help noticing, at the curb, the squad car.
It's a precaution against vandalism. So a few weeks ago, it's a rock. Some spray painted eggs.
I see.
An isolated incident.
It's to be expected.
Gives me great civic pride, Dr. Simeon, to tell you that for weeks the front porch was teeming with candles, bouquets. It's my own daughter made a wreath from sapling twigs. I was moved. Shall we go inside?
Please.
You'll notice there are 2 double bolts with pick-proof cylinders. In addition, the house has 24-hour fully computerized security system with built-in alarm, automatic police, and fire notification, and an electronic fence.
These precautions, they are recent?
Oh, yes, they are new. They were not here before. Shall we? 8,000 square feet, Doctor. 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. Notice the upward sweep of the foyer. The walls rise the full height of the house. The candelabra, that's brass. And look at the sunlight streaming down. Oh, we're flooded, aren't we? We're drowning in light. Oh, Dr. Simeon, your sunglasses. It's for the color scheme.
Safe now, isn't it? Oh, and that?
Where?
Above the arch?
It's oh, yes, that. It's Pennsylvania Dutch, a touch of whimsy.
What is it?
Oh, dear.
You're blushing.
It's a hex sign. That is a hex sign.
No.
For good luck.
One can't help thinking.
Please, don't.
Is this the living room?
I must ask you, don't barrel through.
Oh, forgive me.
I am conducting the tour.
Of course.
Follow the leader. Indulge me. Watch your step.
Thank you.
An exquisite space, Doctor. Full floor-length windows. On the ceiling, rosettes. And the fireplace, you'll note its size. Its grandeur, quarried marble. Venetian, I think.
A substantial mantel.
Oh, yes.
Can it support sculpture? Can it support objet d'art?
I think you can gauge, Doctor.
The house is still furnished.
Well, not for long.
It looks inhabited.
Well, things happened so quickly. The house was placed on the market so soon.
This room reminds me, Miss Haviland, of an exhibit in a museum. The stillness, its past hanging heavy in the air, unspoken.
Well, there was, of course, a will. Provisions were naturally made, but in the absence of the beneficiaries, the furniture will be sold at auction.
Aha.
The proceeds will benefit the Children's Legal Defense Fund.
An appropriate gesture.
And if and when it is recovered, after its release from evidence, the Nubian statuette, it's expected to fetch a startling sum.
Well, surprise, surprise.
Who, I ask myself, who would buy them?
Our society is predatory.
I'd almost bid on it myself so I could take it home with me and with my husband's hammer.
Yes.
I'd pay a hefty sum just for the pleasure of seeing it destroyed.
Do you know, Miss Haviland, the totems of our time?
The totems?
In Milwaukee, a stock pot on a stove. In Brentwood, an errant glove.
Oh, and among them?
Yes.
In Wildwood Park?
Exactly.
A Nubian statuette. Oh, well, you'll notice how the living room segues into the dining room. Dignified, isn't it? Vintage. You can comfortably seat up to 24. And those sconces are from a tavern in the Hudson River Valley, circa 1890. And, you'd never guess, but they're on a dimmer.
Kitchen can't be far behind.
Oh, careful. That door swings. A rustic look, but with every modern convenience. An electric oven, an industrial range, a microwave, and, for the old world effect, a touch of antique romance. A wood-burning stove. It's charming, yes. The cabinets are cherry wood, and the countertops are Mexican tile. And you'll note, there's an island. It's cherry, too, with a granite top. Pull-out shelves below it, and of course, you see it there. Oh dear.
A what?
A block.
Sorry, a block?
A butcher block.
Why, Miss Haviland?
I'm horrible.
You've made a pun.
I'm a monster.
A pun, that's all.
I should have my tongue cut out. There. I've done it again.
You're giddy.
Shame on me. It's shame on us both.
Humor, Miss Haviland, fortifies.
This house all day, every day. Dodging past the news vans. Those rapacious tourists. I fight my way past. I have business here. If it's made me loopy, Doctor, then I have every right to be.
Brava.
My husband says it's nerves. My husband says all those infernal shutterbugs, all those flash bulbs, they've seared my brain.
Oh, fanciful thought, Miss Haviland.
My husband tells me that I take things to heart, that I should go on automatic. That's easy, Doctor, for my husband to say. It is, after all, his forte.
I'd like to see the master bedroom.
I'm exhausted. Afraid. That's the truth.
The bedroom, please?
But you haven't seen the den. Oh, and you haven't seen the home office, the playroom, the maid suite. Don't charge ahead.
I'm overeager.
I can't have people wander. I can't have people traipsing through.
I might go nosing in the linen cupboards.
Don't be absurd. It's not that.
I might empty the medicine chest.
It's not that at all.
I might pirate away the knickknacks and open a souvenir stand on the corner.
I am responsible for the house and its contents. I have police on my back. There are attorneys, a battalion of lawyers. Under the circumstances, it is an overwhelming duty.
I was insensitive.
You know, my psychiatrist is worried. She fears for my safety. I'm on tranquilizers.
It must be a strain.
There are ceiling fans in all the bedrooms. You'll find that saves a fortune on cooling costs during the summer. A walk-in closet, which I dare say it's larger than my living room.
Oh, poignant, isn't it?
What?
There. On the floor, by the bed. Empty shoes. Huh. This is where it began, yes?
I beg your pardon?
The balcony doors.
I'd rather not.
They were left ajar? They were pried open?
You know, I don't approve. I don't appreciate.
Around the lock, scuffs, gouges.
Now, I'm here to show the house. I'm not a detective. I'm not a talk show host.
Well, forgive me, but I couldn't help noticing there on the wainscoting.
The paint has been retouched.
No, along the molding.
The carpets, they've all been shampooed.
Traces exist.
No. Where?
Splotches.
There is nothing to notice.
There, on the edge, rimming the baseboards.
I don't see a thing.
The electrical outlets, where are they?
What?
It's a fair question.
It's a taunt. It's a jibe.
For lamps, for clock radios, a laptop, these things require voltage.
All sorts of appliances require voltages, Dr. Simeon. All sorts.
A heating pad, perhaps. An electric blanket. Nothing menacing, nothing pneumatic.
Don't be facetious, Doc.
Show me.
Please.
Where?
Behind the headboard, and there, under the vanity.
Oh, this is the wall plate. It's scorched.
What did you expect? It was overburdened. It was profoundly misused.
Hidden down there, out of sight, out of mind.
There are still a few details.
What, a few vestiges?
A few repairs.
She was a singer for a while, wasn't she? She was on television in New York.
Dr. Simeon, if you have inquiries about the house, about its architecture, its design, its upkeep...
She sold thigh cream and overcame personal problems, and he made a fortune in junk bonds.
I'm sure I don't know.
Of course you know. Everybody knows.
I'm not interested.
You can't flip on the radio. You can't watch the news.
I mute, Doctor.
Even pick up a paper.
Because of my professional obligations, my necessary involvement, there are certain things that I'd rather not know.
Oh, look, there, on the wall. The little one. The youngest. The girl.
I have recommended to my employer that we remove these photographs. They're unnerving. Prospective buyers are unhinged.
Freckles. A gap tooth.
Their eyes follow you, no matter where you turn.
What was her name?
All day, every day, they stare down at me. Here at work, in this room. Outside, too. Oh, at line in the grocery store. The tabloids. Oh, on T-shirts. Oh, for God's sake, they've even been silkscreened.
Oh, here she is again. In a pageant of some kind.
Put that down.
Look at her. She's dressed as a radish. She's singing.
You're not supposed to touch things.
Oh, and look, washing the family dog. Is it true? Even the dog?
Oh, you are disturbing things. Me.
The police posit that sometime after 3, she, the girl, heard a sound. If only she'd opted to hide under the bed, they said. If only she went out the back door, they'd said. If only her little legs.
Heather. Her name was Heather.
Take me to the nursery.
Do you have children, Dr. Simeon?
More questions, Miss Haviland?
Because if you don't have children, if you don't have young children, then the nursery is irrelevant.
Surely you're not offering the house on a room-by-room basis.
Don't insult me, Doctor.
I am interested in the entire structure, not a portion thereof.
It's just, you've hardly inspected the house. With the living room, the kitchen, the dining room, and nary a remark. Oh, he's bound to have questions about the plumbing, I say to myself, and radon, and the chimney flues. He'll want to know about the new roof, about winter insulation. But no.
Miss Haviland,
No, with you it's all hex signs, and hollow shoes, and little girls.
There are still whole rooms.
The tour is over.
Entire wings.
It's 5:30.
The backyard, the guest house.
The workday has come to a close.
I've driven a great distance.
Please leave.
I can't readily arrange a second visit.
Wildwood Park is a private community, a discreet community. It's not some sordid theme park, Doctor. It's not a freak show with its tent flaps spread, no, torn open for the nation's amusement. It's not some dime store, penny dreadful Stephen King.
A daughter 6 and a son 8. My daughter's name is Sarah. She has a widow's peak, hazel eyes, and what at first might seem like an extra appendage, but which, upon closer examination, reveals itself to be a very old, very odorous stuffed bear, a veteran of her bouts with the flu, the washing machine, and even a long, torturous night spent abandoned in the supermarket. He has one eye, and leaves an unmistakable trail of fleece wherever he goes. His name, should you require it for the record, is Mr. Pete. My son is Joshua. Because he was slow to walk, he was misdiagnosed with cerebral palsy, and it gave us quite a scare. Now he is graceful and long of limb. He's obsessed with choo-choo trains. The court, at the recommendation of my wife's psychologist, has granted sole custody to me.
It's upstairs. The wallpaper is a pale green candy stripe, suitable for a boy or a girl. The border is Beatrix Potter. Window guards, of course. An intercom, so wherever you are in the house, you never feel far away. The children have their own bath. The basin is low and the tub has a rail. As you see, the emphasis here, the design attempts to ensure a child's safety. I want desperately to sell this house. I like fretting over parquet and measuring square feet and judging closet space. I do not like being a sentinel. I do not like standing by quietly as people gape and mock and jeer. It's a disease, Doctor, and it's contagious, and some days it's true. I fear I am catching it. This is not a movie. This is not television. What I do is necessary. Houses are bought and sold, but sometimes, because it's so recent, because it's so far beyond tragedy. What I do here, it feels like desecration. It's walking in their tracks, sifting through their things. Oh, God, forgive me.
Did you know the victims, Miss Haviland?
No.
Even a passing acquaintance?
No.
Then permit me to suggest this unfortunate event wields far greater power over you than perhaps it should.
Well, it's all that I think about. I mean, I have my own husband and my own children. We're remodeling our place on the Eastern Shore. You know, well, my mother has cancer. All of these things. These are the substance of life. And now that they're merely distractions to keep me from obsessing. Why that night? Why those children? Those parents? Were they spared the sight? Were they taken first, or were they forced to witness? This doctor, this haunts me the most. What sort of man? What kind of brute creature?
Anyone, I suppose, would wonder.
It's worse than wondering. It's far more extreme. Oh, God. Once, a canceled appointment. I barricaded the front door. I reset the alarm. I drew the blinds. From her closet, a robe. It was blue with pink piping. And I sat in the study, swathed in her smell, her poring through family albums. Birthdays, Christmases, the first day at school, afternoons at the fair, anniversary notes, private, still perfumed. They were not mine, but they could have been mine. They might as well have been mine. I'm such a hypocrite, Doctor.
Oh, it's all right.
I sat alone in this house with the lights out, and I waited.
For what?
The balcony door to open. That soft, almost noiseless crunch of rubber soles on white shag.
Why?
If God gave me the chance to see evil, Doctor, then I would look. And that's a terrible thing to know about oneself.
You are...
Yeah, go ahead, say it.
You are a very bad little monkey.
I want my own life back. My own concerns.
Take a breath. We don't have to move.
A new family. Here. That would be nice. An antidote. Yes, Doctor? Isn't that the word? I hope that you will contemplate this house. I hope that with all my heart.
I intend to.
I would like to be free of this. And I would like you.
Yes?
You and your children. A fresh start.
Remember, Miss Haviland, you have your own home. Your own retreat.
Yes.
Would you see me to the porch?
Oh, my pleasure, Doctor. I'm embarrassed. My employer.
The robe. The snapshots.
If they knew.
Not a word.
Here's my card.
Oh.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate.
Okay. I won't.
I'm sorry. My display.
Don't mention it.
I've shown you quite an afternoon, haven't I?
Quite.
Yeah, you. A stranger.
I did wonder.
Yes?
Amusing, a curiosity, nothing pragmatic, nothing nuts and bolts.
Please.
One thing concerns me.
Oh.
No arrest, no conviction.
Sadly enough.
No substantive leads.
Every day we pray.
As you suggest, there exists the possibility of, well, the perpetrator, he might return.
Oh, I see my paranoia has spread.
No, your prescience. It's often been documented. Many a criminal, in spite of the immense risk, will return to the scene of the crime.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Regardless of the alarms, the reversible bolts, the electronic fences, even the squad car at the curb.
Oh, But why?
All in pursuit of the covert thrill that comes with the successful commission of a wrongful act.
Well, is that true? Is that what they say?
It would not shock me to learn, Ms. Haviland, that you, yourself, had escorted the culprit through these halls.
Oh. Well, it's a good thing that I'm so thorough, Doctor, so vigilant.
He feigns interest in the housing market. Comes well armed, perhaps, with the classifieds. You interrogate him, and for every question he has a ready quip. He is from an obscure town. He is a banker. No. A lawyer. No. A doctor.
Yes.
He's newly married. No. Expecting a baby.
No. Separated.
He has grown daughters. No. Adopted sons. No.
A boy and a girl. One of each. Her name, it begins with an S. She has a toy. An old, a very beloved. It's plush. It's Mr. Somebody. I can't. I don't know. Oh God.
You usher him over the threshold as you patter on. Stucco and mini blinds and formica and chintz. With each step, he's reliving, with a kind of salacious glee, the very night he thwarted every fragile notion of civilized behavior, the very night he let loose the constraints of his own base nature and made the very darkest kind of history. Tell me, do you ever consider that possibility?
No, I do not.
Perhaps you should.
Emphatically, I do not. I can't afford to entertain such notions. It would render my job untenable.
Yes.
It would induce paralysis. It would hold me captive.
Precisely.
I cannot live my life that way.
You're a wise woman.
I hope that you will consider this house. I hope that you are in the market. And I hope that you will buy.
Perhaps, when I leave, you'll offer the policeman a cup of coffee.
No.
Perhaps you'll have a conversation.
We've never met. I see him every morning, but we've never met.
Perhaps today is the day.
Oh, no, I do not know him.
That doesn't preclude a polite introduction.
I know you, Doctor.
Thank you.
You are the one man I know.
Thank you so much.
It's been a lovely afternoon. And the house is beautiful.
You're interested then?
Yes.
Dr. Simeon?
Miss Haviland?
You have my card?
I do.
You just heard Wildwood Park, written by Doug Wright, directed by Michael Wilson. Performances by Denis O'Hare as Dr. Simeon and Kristine Nielsen as Miss Haviland. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
We are here with Doug Wright, playwright, Kristine Nielsen, and Denis O'Hare. Thanks. Kristine Nielsen and Denis O'Hare, as you were first reading through Wildwood Park in anticipation of performing it today, what first went through your head?
Well, when you first start reading a play, I suppose you just let the play happen to you
without trying to impose anything on it, without trying to figure out who they are. And so you don't know who they are. You take them for what they say they are. And I remember there's a lot of dizzying power struggles in this play. Things seem to go back and forth quickly and a lot. And I remember being intrigued and confused by them. And,
Absolutely, yeah.
and then you get to the end and you go, oh, I see where it was leading. But it's delicious to not know where it's going at first.
It's so true. One of the things I do, which is kind of crazy, it makes my husband crazy, is I read it out loud. I do. I like to hear it and know where I stumble or not understand something. And it's just what you say. It's because you're trying to zero in on the game that's being played back and forth between these two people. And you want to be, oh, that's not the right game. I'm in the wrong game, and then try to at least present options when you come, because it's a short rehearsal. And I think you want to give options to what you're thinking and then be very open to your partner because, of course, Dennis is so, oh, my gosh. So I'll just take whatever he does and steal it and bat it back to him.
And I just get out of the way of Kristine. Get out of the way.
And thank goodness for Michael. I mean, I know he's not here, but he helped and gets the motor and gets the rhythm. He hears it and was so good at hearing the rhythm of it. So.
Yeah.
As Wildwood Park proceeds, it becomes more and more likely that Dr. Simeon is not just a bargain hunter, but perhaps the perpetrator of a heinous crime. We listeners receive just enough information for our imaginations to go haywire. So, Doug Wright, how exacting a process is calibrating too much information, too little, or just right in the course of writing a thriller-type play like this?
I think you want to plant just enough keys in the text that audiences can crack open their own respective Pandora's boxes, if you will. And I do like to think of this as a little compact thriller. And so planting information and ensuring that it pays off in the 11th hour is pretty critical. And even though it's only 20 minutes long, I probably spent as much time agonizing over its structure as I would a full-length play. And it was sort of a joyful puzzle to put together for that reason.
Doug, language is never random. I mean, I guess that's where all of the arduous work is. And every word sounds like it was an active choice. So let's do some guessing, Doug. You're the judge. Dennis, given the word simian means monkey or ape, so why do you think Doug named your character Dr. Simeon?
Primitive, prehensile. Our evolutionary biological ancestors, the base natures of who we actually are, unbridled passions, animal.
Wow.
That's what I would say.
See, you have ferociously articulate actors when you have a play that's dense with $4 words.
Right, but she hasn't asked me any questions, so watch out.
Well, you're called Ms. Haviland. I wonder why. You're also recalled a very bad little monkey by Dr. Simeon.
I love that.
Do you have any notion what's going on there? Is that two evils?
Well, it could be, or it could be that I am a bad little monkey. Haviland. That's a famous literary character, Miss Haviland.
Havisham.
Or maybe she's in real estate, so she has land.
Exactly. Have a land.
Have a land. That's a good one.
Have two.
Go to the
he
writer.
hasn't forgotten that he's the judge. And then why a Nubian statuette? I mean, it's apparent there's a mention that just as Hex is to Pennsylvania Dutch country, Nubian statuette is a totem for Wildwood Park. Anyone want to take a guess?
Well, Maltese Falcon was taken.
I couldn't get the rights to that. Right. Why assume the Nubian statuette somehow figured in the actual commission of the act? It was heavy and pointy.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so. The pointed.
Oh, it did. It says that.
Yes.
And that's why you chose Nubian, or was it also other things?
I think I liked its exotic connotation, and it suggests, because it's a really rarefied object, that this was not a mere street savage who committed this crime, but someone of formidable intellectual heft and perhaps even aesthetic taste.
Why use a hammer when you can use a Nubian statuette?
Absolutely.
I think my favorite, just like 2-word sequence is thigh cream.
That's right. Better than the Limoges.
Toward the end of the play, Miss Haviland describes locking herself in the home and clothing herself in the butchered mother's robe with the pink piping and surrounding herself with the deceased woman's personal mementos of life with her husband. And then she says these could have been mine. And then she adds she's waiting for the balcony door to open and the soft, almost noiseless crunch of the rubber soles on the white shag. How would she know about the rubber soles on the white shag? I mean, are there other... How many interpretations of Wildwood Park would you say a sane person could come up with?
Well, I like to think, I think that her identification with the victim is so profound that she's relived it a million times in her head. And the awareness that it could have been her, I think, comes from this crime could have befallen anyone in our neighborhood. But it also comes from a place of almost perverse wishfulness. She wishes she had been in that woman's situation in a very dark and perverse way so that she could get a conclusive look at the face of evil. I do think there's a lot, and I saw these two remarkable actors play with it today. I think they're decisions that every actor gets to make, and they can be quite personal. And I think it's entirely possible that Dr. Simeon is the dastardly man who committed the deed. And I think it's also entirely possible that he's just a garden variety sadist who read about the crime in the paper, and we don't know. And I think only Dennis needs to know for the play to work its magic. And in the same way, I think there's wonderful work that Kristine did in terms of her own identification with Miss Haviland, and in turn Miss Haviland's identification with the victim of the crime, that she can decide just how close to play those parallels and what the future holds for Miss Haviland and Dr. Simeon, because he knows where she lives. So I think the play offers up a lot for actors to solve, but the ambiguities of the text stays intact no matter what choices they might make.
Right. So it's a thriller. It's not a whodunit because we don't know who done it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, what makes it so great to work on and to read is that it is actually not a plot-driven play. It is the dynamics of human interactions and the way in which two people get to know each other and reveal each other to each other. Mm-hmm. And in 20 minutes, it moves from strangers to intimates. They become very intimate.
Extremely confessional,
Yeah.
at least, doctor-patient. So many relationships are explored within it.
And like most two-handers, it's a kind of love story.
Yeah.
You just mentioned, Doug, Ms. Haviland's line, if God gave me the chance to see evil, doctor, then I'd look, and that's a terrible thing to know about oneself. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Gosh, isn't that what the 24-hour news cycle was built for? I mean, it's why you see atrocities play out hourly at the top of the hour on the news. And it's why we all have an urge to turn it on, because we want to feel superior and we want to feel self-righteous rage. And it's become an addiction. And so I think that these days, so many times in this particular climate, it feels like when we turn on the television, we truly are gazing into the face of evil.
No joke.
But our propensity to look and to look again and to keep tuning in, I think says something about a terrible hunger we have to see the very darkest aspects of our nature on display in an almost unhealthy voyeuristic way. Of course, we all feel when terrible things happen, we feel great empathy for those people involved, but that's really only half the story. We're complicated creatures.
Right.
I suppose some of it comes from wanting to understand that if I look into those eyes, I will understand something and I can get relief. How could this happen? Oh, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Look at that creature.
Solve it in a way and be exempt from it then as a result.
Well, it's like, the Las Vegas, massacre with that gunman. There's no motive. There's still no motive. Yeah. At least with the awful thing at Parkland, that kid seemed to have a warning signs and a sense of rage, and he himself has a reason why he did it, whether or not that's true. But it's when you don't know why someone's acted that it's the most baffling.
Right. And you do suggest that someone is not only contemplating but encouraging a possible maniac to move into this prim and proper neighborhood for her own personal, emotional, financial, psychic satisfaction.
Yeah, that's in there too.
It's all in there. I think
it's
it's
all
in
in
there
there.
that the woman who's lived a very staid, polite social life, has the children, has the husband, has the job, has everything, yearns for a door to open. Sometimes you yearn for the light, and sometimes you yearn for the dark, I think. I mean, I think it's true of human nature. I think it is. It's wonderful. We try to chain the dark door closed so many times, and I think it's kind of fun and exciting to think that that is there, that we crave that too.
It has a kind of a Beckettian cast to it, as if these people are locked into this cycle or this story.
As
She's
in
locked
Samuel Beckett.
Samuel Beckett, yeah. She's like locked into always showing this house. She's locked into the repetition of the story of the house. And he's locked into the reenactment of the crime or into revisiting the crime. And they're locked together, like, Dee Dee and
Yeah, they
Go-Go.
do their respective dances for
Yes.
each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dennis and Kristine, can you describe Doug's sense of humor? I mean, this is a murky tale of evil in some ways, and it's very funny in others.
Oh, God, yeah.
What's it like navigating through that?
I just think you want to get out of the way of it, enjoy it and have it. What I think Michael was so good about, again, was saying you don't need to hit anything. You just need to find what your main emotional action is, and then the humor will naturally come from it. Naturally, the ups and downs we all turn on we shift our positions constantly. So it's being able to turn on a hairpin, that you can be like, oh my God, this is so terrible. It's like, don't touch that plant over there.
Exactly.
That you can have the many concerns, and they're all very invested.
But it also takes a sensitivity, which I think you have, Kristine, to be able to read it and look at it and get, oh, that's why that's funny, because there's a shift in tone here. Oh, that's why that's funny, because of this. I mean, my favorite thing was the ridge sequence, just the hilarity of how many named towns or subdivisions ridge. And so, of course, she's like, I never heard of that. Oh, of course, beyond this ridge. And that's a hilarious sequence, I thought.
I love the sequence where it ends with it's under the table and behind the headboard. Do you know where it's clear where it's heading about the horrible pneumatic drill was plugged in. I know where you're going, but I'm not going to let you get there too soon. And then when you get there, it's like, all right, it's there.
Yep.
Well, you all have a wonderful sense of humor, and I'm so glad you could join us today, and I hope you'll be back.
Of course.
I love that.
Thank you all again. Doug Wright, the playwright of Wildwood Park, Kristine Nielsen, and Denis O'Hare.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia.
You've been listening to Playing on Air, Great American Short Plays with Great American Actors. Theme and play music by Tom Cochan. Recording and sound design by John Kilgore. Associate producer Sasha Spitzer. Literary and development associate Lucy Fleming. Social media and outreach Bonnie Antosh. Distributed by PRX, Public Radio Exchange. We invite you to visit our website at playingonair.org, where you can stream short plays and find information about our artists and plays. Join us on Facebook or Twitter, and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. While you're there, leave us a review. We value your opinion. For Playing on Air, I'm your host, Claudia Catania. Thanks for listening.